Good morning. This is Teresa Conway-Hayes in Meridian, Idaho, and I am the Stampin' Bookkeeper at www.stampinbookkeeper.com. Please feel free to visit that, and you can see my different blog articles that are tutorials and demonstrations on different cards that I do. Once I've finished this Facebook Live today, I'm going to go ahead and post that on my YouTube channel, and I would love it if you would visit my YouTube channel and like and comment on there so that I know what folks are interested in, and also so that I can build my subscription rate to be able to broadcast live. And I don't know if broadcast is the right word for online stuff, but anyways, to the YouTube channel. Today we're going to do an old-fashioned birthday whiskey business card. We're going to use this whiskey business cling stamp set, and this is a masculine card, so I hear a lot of requests for more masculine cards. So we're going to use the whiskey bottle and the glass, and then we're also going to use the sending you an old-fashioned birthday card sentiment and the cheers to you sentiment on the inside of the card. So first we're going to go ahead and stamp the whiskey bottle and ink it with early espresso. But before we do that, I'm going to talk about what paper products we're going to use. So we've got a crumb cake card base. The card bases are half a sheet of paper, and they are what are they? Let's see. So 8.5. Okay, I just went blank. So they are 8.5, right? Yep. By 5.5, right? So, and then it's scored in the middle at 4.25. So then we're going to use an early espresso layer that is 4 inches across by 5.25 inches long, and that'll fit nicely on top of the card base. And then I've cut a whisper white layer that's the inside layer. The inside layer is the same size. And then I have a little bit smaller whisper white layer. It's about a 1/4 inch, not quite a 1/4 inch, smaller than the early espresso layer. And then I have a scrap piece of whisper white to stamp the glasses onto. Okay, so we're going to start by putting this scrap piece over here, these pieces to the side so that I don't accidentally stamp on my inside layer. And I'm just going to double check that real quick. Yes, this is smaller, and this is the smallest, so that's my scrap. When you're dealing with 3 whisper white layers, it's easy to confuse them. At least for me it is. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Now, I'm going to be using alcohol markers. Typically, I would use the Memento ink to do that, but I'm not today because I have a method to my madness. And we'll get to that in just a minute. This is a large stamp. Now I was able to fit it just on this, what is this, a D block? Yeah, on this D block. So it's kind of hard to stamp because I had to put it in this direction to get it to fit. Good. Another block that you could use for this particular image is this. Let's see, was it this one? Yeah, it would just fit on this H block, but I didn't want to do that because I tried to use as small of an acrylic block to fit the image as possible. If I put it on this one, there would be this much acrylic block left over, and I feel like I'm the most safe to not have an overlapping image line if I use the best size acrylic block for my image. Now we're going to put that to the side, and we're going to take our scrap and we're going to stamp 2 glasses. And then we'll do some coloring. But before we do that, and because I want to get everything done, I'm actually going to go ahead and stamp my sentiment with the early espresso. And that is going to go in the bottom right corner. That was me hesitating, saying a little prayer that it wouldn't be crooked. Okay, not bad. And as usual, I did forget to put load comments so that I could see if anybody was talking, because that's the only way I can tell if anybody is here, is if they hit the like button or one of those other emojis, or if they talk. When I'm on my phone or computer, then I'm not using Switcher Studio to go live, then I can tell, you know, 1 person or 2 people or whatever are watching. So again, while I still have the early espresso, I'm going to take my inside layer and I'm going to do the cheers to you. And sometimes I like, well, I don't know why I turned that upside down, because there really is no established orientation. But I like to stamp upside down sometimes because it actually helps me to not be crooked. See what that looks like. Checking my fingers for ink. Not bad. All right, so now I'm just going to put a couple glasses in here. And I'm going to just like tip these like we're cheers. Like that. Okay, now I can put the early espresso away. Try not to get any ink on my fingers, because I'm dealing with white cardstock, so I want to be really careful to not get ink on my fingers and end up getting a smudge on my card after I put a lot of work into it. So just in case, I'm going to go ahead and use a wet wipe. I've been doing pretty good. And actually, that's the thing about the old pads versus the new pads. It's a lot easier for me to not get ink on my fingers using the old pad versus the new pad. So if you've got old pads still that you're using and they're doing a good job like this one is, and you know, you're just battling with yourself as to whether you should replace it with the new pad, that's a good excuse to not replace it. I am a demonstrator, and I do appreciate the opportunity to get new customers and to make sales, but this is all about you. I try to make it all about you as a salesperson versus all about me, just to make a sell. So I like for anyone that is watching me and learning from me to learn things that are helpful to them and not to me. And I enjoy teaching, so it works out for all of us. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get some of this ink off real quick with using my simple chamois. What's nice is I take mine and I cut them in half because that helps me to be able to not have to buy so many for my workshop attendees. I can give them each a half, and so one chamois will be enough for 2 people. And I'm just going to set these over to the side so they're out of my way. And now we're going to color. I'm going to start using the light and dark saffron. So I like to start with the light. Some people like to start with the dark. Now here's the thing about what I was talking about earlier. And I'm not going to color my inside layer, so I'll put that to the side. Old Espresso versus Memento. So Memento itself is really a great ink for the alcohol markers because it won't smear. The other inks will smear. They can smear. So first thing I do is I'm not going to linger when I color. I'm just going to lay this color down and get with it. I personally love the smell of these markers, by the way. Just had to say that. All right, now I'm going to use the finer tip of the darker to add some shading. I feel like this marker isn't very dark, but I am using the saffron, so I think my expectations are not fair because this is the lighter yellow marker. All right, now just to give that a little bit deeper hue, I'm going to go ahead and take my light mango melody and take it up a notch. Now we gave that some different color. And we are done with this image. So now we're going to go ahead and do the same to the glasses. And so I'm going light to dark, and then light again, and then darker to light again. And I missed this cup, so let me get this one. I went out of the line there, but that's okay because I'm going to fussy cut these out. I wouldn't have been happy with myself if that would have happened on the whiskey bottle. And I'm not trying to exactly replicate each glass. Because I don't think they should be. All right, we're gonna leave that like that. Now recently I started using my bigger scissors to fussy cut, and I feel like I have better control that way. I also don't like all this paper in my way, so I don't try to cut the image out in one fell swoop like some trainers encourage. That just doesn't work for me. Some days I have my groove on more for fussy cutting than other days also. I just don't like those sharp corners. Of course, I wouldn't get them if I would cut more in one piece. So there's that. There. These are still good for scraps. Now I'm going to use my gray granite that's black. My light gray granite marker to shade some grounding under the bottle and glasses so that they don't look like they're floating in the air. So I need to lay my glass down. I'm going to put this one down right here. And I'm going to use some of the new Stampin' Up to do that. Let's see. One more will go there, and one will go there. Yes, okay. And this one I'm going to pop up on a dimensional. Just using a scrap dimensional. And so this one will go right there. And I have to place that. That's okay. So freehand makes me nervous. But it usually looks good, no matter how uncomfortable I feel with it. That's good. Looks like I smeared the brown a little bit right there. Oh, so I forgot something. I was talking to you about the Wink of Stella. So I'm going to use the Wink of Stella to push around the color on the ice cube. And it just gives it a little different look. So kind of like, you know, it's not stark clear. And I'm going to use a little bit of Wink of Stella here. And it also brings more of an amber color to the whiskey. Well, actually the yellows do, and then it brings that brown into that amber color. So it's just kind of nice how it pushes that color around. And that wouldn't happen with the Memento ink, is my point. We're done coloring. Now we're going to put the card together. I'll give this a excuse me, that'll give this a chance to dry. So I'm going to start with the inside layer. Now, when I use the Stampin' Seal, I take my finger and I feed the adhesive out, I guess is what I want to say. It reminds me of the fast fuse. And I don't need to press real hard. All right. There's the inside. Now, this was a layer that had some mess on the other side, but that's okay. It's still perfectly good. And I actually did not want to do that. That's okay. I'll go ahead and put it onto the card base. Ah, it's crooked. This is where you really see whether I did my cuts well or not. Straight. I'm kind of a crooked person. Oh, that didn't sound good. maybe I should have used liquid glue for this, because liquid glue would give me some wiggle room. I am going to use liquid glue on the back of this because I'm going to need that wiggle room. I haven't seen anybody here today, so everybody must be out having fun. Once I'm done with this Facebook Live, I'm going to start getting ready to pack the camper because we are going camping after my husband gets home from work at 4 o'clock. Well, he gets off of work at 4, so he gets home about 4:15. See, that liquid glue gave me the wiggle room I needed. I pressed a little too hard on my Whisper White right there. There was a little bit of a crinkle, but it's working its way out. And I'm very happy with how the Whisper White placed on the... I'm just seeing if it'll let me push this over a little bit. I almost feel like it did let me. On the Early Espresso, I'm just a little bit displeased with the amount of border around the Early Espresso, but I'm going to leave it alone. This corner is popping up, so I'm going to put a little bit of glue underneath there because I don't want that to pop up. Okay, so here we have an old-fashioned birthday with Whiskey Business, and I like this card because it has a lot of white space. Once in a while I want to do that instead of fill everything in, like this card that I made with the Peony Suite. It has something everywhere, really. So sometimes you just like to have a little bit more empty space. And maybe a clean look is another way of describing that. So thanks for taking time to watch this Facebook Live. And please be sure to let me know if you have any questions. And if you are interested in purchasing Stampin' Up product, I would love to have you as my customer. And I'm happy to help you out with that in any way that I can. I do workshops. Right now it's once a month, but as I have more people interested, I will schedule more workshops. I do have someone who is interested in a workshop with children. So if you have children or grandchildren that you would like to stamp with, please reach out to me because we need to get a large enough group for it to be able to do that. Actually, I probably will schedule something for just her and I and her grandchild, and then hope for it to build from there. The current workshop that I have is always the second Friday of the month at 6:30 p.m. So that's the second Friday of the month at 6:30 p.m. at my home in Meridian, Idaho. So you all have a great weekend, and I will see you next time.